Ribena.
Oh, hold on a second. That's not very funny. That if you told me you were drinking, I would have got some wine.
Yeah, a bit later. I'll be slurring.
I've got a cup of tea coming up at 8 o'clock.
Have you ready?
Oh, have you now?
Put me
Oh,
order
I
in,
see.
yeah.
Is that the way it is? You know, see, if I asked for a cup of tea, I'd get a smack in the mouth. You know?
Yeah, you're doing something wrong, aren't you? Obviously.
Yeah, you're not asking nicely enough.
I can't do any more than I can do. You know? Anyway, look, guys, thanks for joining us. We're live now, and so we got Joe Perry and Michael Holt. Michael's in the middle. I can hardly recognize him. He looks about 50 with that beard. It's okay. That's fine.
Finally got a proper tash, though. It's good to see.
It's good to see a proper tash, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm going to shave it and just leave the handlebar moustache.
Yeah, it's good to see a proper one. Normally, it's like a kid that's just started shaving.
Yeah. Well, until what's his face? Karen Wilson. I had the worst tash in snooker. But no, I've only got the second worst now.
I think he's got a little bit of trouble growing one, actually. Anyway, never mind. Let's get off that matter. Anyway, look, first of all, congratulations, Michael, on your newborn baby girl.
Thank you.
She was born 6 weeks ago.
Yes.
When all this mess started.
Yeah, just a few days before.
Wow. Baby girl. You know, my baby girl's going to be 28 years old.
Really?
In November.
You must have had it when you was 8 then.
Hang on a second now. Don't start on that. I had Amy when I was, look. When I met her mother, I was 14. Her mother was 37. You know? I was in heat. Okay?
Oh,
so, I mean, you know, it's just one of those things that happen.
You know? She was in the playground by the sounds of it.
Yeah, I was saying, yeah.
Anyway, she started going a bit grey, so I got rid of her 20 years ago.
As you do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't mind hanging on to old women for very long, you know. Anyway, we better not dwell on that.
No.
Okay? So, look, guys, we've got Joe Perry and Michael Holt here today. We're just going to talk about them a little bit, and then we're going to get some questions. If you want to send the questions in, just send them in. You know, some people are starting to join us now a little bit, you know. But anyway, great lads, nice of you to join us. Joe, you're 45 years old.
No.
And you look it. And but don't worry about it. It's okay. You know, look what happened to me. You know, it's okay. It's all right. You may well be 45 years old, mate, but, you know, I don't know, 30 years nearly on the tour?
1992, I turned professional, yeah. But in my mind, I didn't start playing until about 96, 97.
Wow, long time, yet.
Part-time till about then.
You know?
That's 4 years part-time, doing an education. Didn't really take the game seriously at all at that age. Just turned pro because I had to, really. I didn't want to miss the boat because the option came to just to buy your way in. I knew I wasn't good enough, but I didn't want to miss the opportunity to be professional. And then I sort of got my head down. We're about 96, 97.
Yeah, I saw that. I noticed that when I looked through. Look, listen, like everybody else, mate, up and down. You know, anybody who's been on a tour a long time sometimes takes a little bit of time to get flowing. It took you a bit of time, just like the other guys have been on here.
Still trying.
Joe, it took you 10 years to win your first ranking event. We'll come back to that. Look, the both of you are fairly consistent. You know, you're currently 17, I think, Joe, just outside. Is that right?
Indeed. A couple of quid, yeah. You
know, Michael, you're slipped up there, up and down. You can back up again. You're 25 now off the shootout win. You know, look, in all fairness, pretty good, pretty credible, actually, for the pair of you. Both of you have certainly been in the top 32 for most of your careers. And Joe, you've been in and out the top 16. So, I think
since when I broke into the top 32, I think that was 1999. I think might have been 2000. I've not dropped out. I think the lowest I got to was about 26 once.
Right.
So yeah, I've been pretty consistent, steady. Not enough not enough highs, just very, very steady. But I'll take it. As a lot of people would probably swap with that.
Not a bad season for the both of you, really, apart from the mess that's going on at the minute. I mean, you're both 1 year list. You're both 13 and 15 in the world. Pretty
Really?
good.
I didn't know that.
Well, you do now.
The rankings don't lie.
No, they certainly
I'm
don't.
gonna go and get myself another drink.
But yes, I mean, look, just looking back over your careers, as I say, Joe, it took you a while to get flowing. Michael, you always sort of got close in some of the competitions. I think you were runner up in a couple, 2 or 3 ranking events. So I mean, you were always sort of in there. Obviously took you a bit of time there, Joe. But looking back, lads, sort of like, from the days maybe at Blackpool. I think you can remember Blackpool.
Yeah, I only had 1 year. I think I turned pro. The last year they had was 1996. I think the last Blackpool days. I had to have one crack at it. I wasn't really good enough, and then I didn't get in I think you get in the top 180.
So, Holty, did you play in what was the original Q school in Plymouth?
No,
when they cut the tour to 96. What year was that?
That was the year before. That was the year after. What they did, the year I had to go at Blackpool was the last year at Blackpool. Then they took a load to the qualifying school, didn't they? If you got high enough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's when I started to push on, because I got through qualifying school.
Yeah.
And then that put me straight into the top 96. And then the following year I was ranked I got up to like 30 something. Yeah. And from then on I pushed on, 97 onwards. Yeah.
Well, the year before that qualifying school, you had to get into a top so many to get in the qualifying school. If not, which I was one of that didn't, we had to play like a challenge tour, which was played in clubs that year after, and that's when I got in. I got on off that. I got to the final of the first one, which sort of guaranteed me my tour card the next year, and I've obviously been on the tour ever since.
So I'm not very good with dates, so that would have been 97. Then that's when
97, 98. So
that's when they cut the tour to 96, wasn't it?
That's it. Yeah. So my first year on the tour properly after getting through was 98, 99 season. So and then I got in the 32 in 3 or 4 years, something like that. I don't know.
Took a while. What about
I mean, I got in the top 64 pretty quickly. But I've always been, although my rankings have been pretty consistent as far as in, I think 15 of the years I've been in the 32 out of me 20 years on tour, or 20, I've been very inconsistent. I've not I've qualified for a lot of events, but when I've got to venues, I've not been able to string matches together, which is why I've not been at the late stages of events. I've always thrown in a bad performance, which at that stage of events you probably get beat. So that's what sort of stopped me progressing to sort of top 16 status, really, because you've got to get to business and more. But yeah, it is what it is. I've got to be more consistent.
So let's talk about your obviously your ranking event. Joe, you remember winning your first ranking event?
The first big one, 2015 in Thailand.
What are your memories? What are your thoughts?
I don't remember a great deal about it. I remember because it was a shorter event, wasn't it? So I remember being 3-0 down the final and winning it. But to be honest, I remember the sort of the defeats I've had in finals more than that one. That was a bit of a blur, that one. It was a strange old week. But yeah, I've had a couple of real close runner-ups. I've lost Decider to Neil. I had a close one with Ali and a couple of others. So I remember them more in terms of the actual match than I do the one I won. I've never watched it back. I don't watch myself ever. I've watched a lot of some of the other matches, but I've never watched any of my own games back.
In the tournament he won in Thailand after the quarter.
I remember having a really good draw.
Yeah. Well, after
Listen, Joe, I don't watch you either. I'd rather watch the flies guy on the wall.
You're missing out. You're missing
He
out.
He had so much luck in the quarterfinal.
I did with the draw. I had such a good draw.
It was obvious that his name was on it.
I think I had Ding, he can't beat me. Then I'll tell you, the best bit of luck I had was at the time I could not beat Stephen Maguire. I just could not beat him. And Anthony McGill beat him in the last 32. So I had McGill, who I beat, obviously. then it just seemed to get easier and easier. I had Holty for Bingham. You can't make it up. Them draws don't come along very often. And obviously, then I had one of the greatest players of all time in the final, and he let me off at 3-0, and I managed to nick a win. But yeah, it was just. I think when it's your week. It just seems to be that way. You just sort of get that feeling. I've had a couple where I thought it was my week. I've sort of got through to a final, and then either played bad or got a bit nervous or something. But but sometimes you just get a feeling it's your week early on, and it just seems to work out for you.
Right.
But I don't get enough of them weeks.
No.
I've had about 5 in 25 years.
Well, look, Michael, you waited a long time for your ranking event win, mate.
Still waiting, mate.
Still
waiting. That don't count.
We need to talk about that actually now. We do need to touch on that.
It counts in your bank account.
That's it.
Which is all that matters.
That is all that matters, really. Yeah, you're right.
That's it. I mean, I don't think it should be a ranking event, but hey, look, it's not my place to say. But look, it's an event. It's very enjoyable. The crowd love it. They all join in. Anybody can nick it, boys. Anybody can nick it.
I've got to stop you there. They can't. It's not anyone can win it. You need for all the luck that's involved. You need a lot of skill, and you've got to be able to hold your nerve and think quickly and play under pressure quickly. So that's why not anyone can win it. You can get people sneak through to the quarterfinals, last 16, but when the pressure really kicks in, which is quarterfinals onwards, when the money gets good, you've got to be able to hold your nerve and play strong under pressure. So you don't get any no, I'm not praising him. I don't think it's a ranking event, but it's a load of rubbish. But you need to hold your nerve, and you won't get any bad players win that tournament ever.
There you are, Michael. What have you got to say about that?
It's the one they all want.
How did it feel?
Let's be honest. You know what I mean? It's when the class comes through. Seriously, for a minute. I mean, obviously, it being a ranking event, you could argue there is an argument that it shouldn't be. I'm not going to lie, but like I said at the time, you've got it. Somebody's got to win it, and you've got to play. You've got whatever happens, whatever format it is, you've got to pop match ball, which is tough. So, and at the end of the day, it meant a lot to me. So you've still got to win. So I've got to take a lot out of that as much as I can.
Absolutely.
And hopefully, obviously, moving forward when the world starts again. Hopefully, I can sort of take that with me, and maybe challenge for one in the proper format.
No, well, look, as you say, somebody had to win it, and I'm pleased it's come. It's come probably at the right time, and it's going to give you a lot of confidence.
Yeah, I feel great about it. It's amazing. It's been a long time coming to just stand there, even if it is the shootout. Just stand there with a trophy. It's nice, great feeling.
Do you ever look back over your careers and think, I haven't really done enough to get over the line. I could have done a lot better?
Absolutely, 100%. But one thing I've never ever bigged myself up, even at a young age. There was a lot of players that I genuinely believed I was better than, and I've turned out to be better than them, had better careers than them. But they was talking about winning tournaments and doing this and that, and it's something I've never done because I know really how hard it is to win a tournament. And when I've had them near misses, it's been my fault. I've just not. Some people can say it's luck. It's not luck. You've got to have that special ingredient, just to win that. Because the players I've lost to in finals, I've beat many times over. But on the day, they held their nerve better than me, and they held themselves together, and they got that special ingredient you need to win. Michael will say the same thing. Someone I've got lots of respect for in the way they play snooker, someone like Ali Carter, Stuart Bingham, Graham Dott, they're no better than me. And on the head-to-heads, I think I'm ahead of all of them. But the big games we've played, they've won. So, some players have just got that extra little something at the right time, the crunch, really. And that's the biggest part in snooker for me, because we can all play.
I think it's the same in all sports, to be honest. I think if you ask tennis players or ask golfers, the tour players, they're all very, very good. They can all produce a level which is good enough to win any tournament. But the ones that will stand out or just be more successful will have that little bit more, I don't know what you can call it really, confidence, self-belief, bottle, whatever you want to call it. I think they have I think a good example for me is Mark Selby. I mean, he's a really nice guy, but when he plays snooker, he's horrible. And I don't mean that as personally. Do you know what I mean? He's just got that killer instinct about him. You know what I mean? You're going to have to rip him off the table to beat him. And I think that sort of, even when he's struggling, still carries him through to win snooker matches because he's just hard, And I think all the champions have got that.
I think it's all in there, boys. I think
it's great.
Yeah, no, you're right. It is all in there, but you can't get to semi-finals and finals if you haven't got that in there. It's
definitely.
Just some people have just got that extra little thing to see him over the line,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right,
and that's what I'm
Neil
talking
Robertson.
about.
Neil Robertson's gone on to be one of the best ever, but we didn't know that at the time, and he won his first 10 finals because he's got that. I don't know what it is, Obviously, he's a fantastic player, but he wasn't a fantastic player when he first started winning tournaments. He was a very good player.
Yeah.
He's much better now.
Yeah, of course.
But he still had that something to win them finals in the early part of his career, which has set him in good stead to go on and win many, many titles.
Yeah.
I find these players very difficult to watch. But when you look at Selby and Higgins, I mean, they're such tough players to play against. I mean, Selby seems to have this inner thing inside him where he can turn a match around completely.
Yeah.
He can completely reconstruct himself on the table. He could be so far behind. And I think it's like I said, Joe, it's all in here. It's temperament.
Temperament is massive.
Ability to deal with problems.
Once you get to a certain level, like our level we play at, temperament is massive. And temperament's not just about banging your cue and getting annoyed. It's holding you. It's doing it under the utmost pressure. Selby is, when you watch Selby play, sometimes you think, wow, how does he keep doing it? But he's got that rare thing where Selby wins tournaments playing average.
Why don't you just throw something at him? Just throw something at him, like a piece of chalk.
He just block it, and just keep going.
He block it. He's like a cricketer, just stay at the crease all day and score 20.
Yeah, you'd be a great test match player.
Yeah.
Just say miss as he gets down on the shot.
Tried it.
Put him off.
Tried it.
Anyway, by the way, what's the head-to-head between you two?
Oh, I'm miles in front.
Yeah, he's
miles in front.
They say, don't you? You've always got a
done a
player.
bit of research. That's a bad question.
Yeah, it's a bad one. They say you've always got a player that's not as good as you that you can't beat, and Joe's mine.
I don't. I'll just let people look up the record book. I don't need to answer. I don't need to respond to that. I'll just let them look at the record books.
No, it's he's a bit of a bot.
It's a bit like my head-to-head with Stephen Maguire. Very similar.
Yeah, you keep mentioning Stevie.
Yeah.
Tough player to play against.
One of the best, I think.
Brilliant.
He's got such a great cue action.
He's got everything.
A lot. He's
the only thing
doing it on the big stage.
The only thing he hasn't got, I don't think he's. I don't. This could be taken the wrong way. I don't mean it badly. I don't think he's as bothered as some of the other great winners we've got.
Oh, I know he's not. I've spoken to him. I've met him a couple of times.
I think when he gets beat, he's frustrated and he's annoyed.
Yeah.
But he doesn't beat him. So he doesn't sit at home thinking about winning tournaments.
No, he's not
the
a
next
geek.
one. The next one.
He's not a snooker geek.
He's just a great snooker player.
He's just really good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's not a snooker geek. Yeah, he don't sit there watching world finals on YouTube.
Because someone like Neil, I know he set his target out a long time ago to win at least one tournament every season. Now I don't believe Steve Maguire's ever had that conversation with anyone.
Wow, that's a tough outlook.
But he's done it.
He's done it. Yeah, he's done it.
I like the lad. I like what he said when Ronnie put him out of the Worlds there a few years ago. I think it was probably only about 4 or 5 years ago.
Stephen.
He just said, you know what, if this is as good as I'm going to get, then that's it, because nobody can beat him. I'm not good enough to beat him. If this is as good as it's going to get, that's okay. I like players.
He's just a genuine guy who's just really, really good at snooker.
Yeah, very good.
So, look, mate, listen, Joe, I can see you creeping back into the top 16. Michael, I can see you instilling a little bit of confidence now, if we get back on.
Bit of swagger.
See if we get back on track, boys. Joe, I can see you getting back in the top 16 very quickly. Michael, you've got all the confidence now. You get closer and closer in some ranking events.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourselves, lads?
When? How far into the future are we talking?
Well, just the next few months ahead. Let's say we get back on track, say July, August. Obviously, a season's going to start straight away. So, where do you see yourselves in the next 12 months?
Well, I don't know really. I think I'm feel the best I've ever felt. I'm obviously in a better position than I've ever been. So, and I'm still, although I'm 41, I feel like as eager as ever. Really, I mean, the thing that helps me in that respect is because I haven't achieved anything. I'm still hungry. I mean, there's certain players. I mean, players the other end of the scale, like your Mark Williams, he's won everything, done everything. It's impossible for him to be as eager as I am because he's done it all. So the fact that I haven't achieved, I've achieved very little, makes me hungry, even though I'm the age I am, and I've still got the ability to just play to the level I need to play at. So yeah, hopefully my best years are in front of me. We'll see. I'm excited really about the way things could go.
Funny you mentioned Williams. Williams just floats around the table, doesn't he? He's like a
He's the biggest liar.
Blades around the table.
He's the biggest liar in snooker. Don't worry about that. He wants to rip your head off when he plays you. And
he's not very exciting, boys. He's not very exciting.
He's the worst loser.
He takes his clothes off on TV, and he hasn't got a very nice body either. I don't know why he did that.
No, it's all lies.
He did it. I mean, I've got muscles and stuff, people would look at.
No,
he's you don't get that good if you're not an animal, and if you don't want it really bad.
He's good.
He's amazing.
He's got everything you need, but in a different kind of way. He's just very. He's super up for it. He's super competitive. He's just very laid back character. But he's still got everything you need to be a winner. You have to win what he's won. You have to.
I think
I grew up in that era. We're all the same age. Mark Williams, John Higgins, Ronnie's a fraction younger, but all the same. Like Mark King, all them sort of people, all the same age. And Williams, he's always been the same. He's always been He's always been the best, really. He's just a bit unlucky that John and Ronnie were at the same time because he might have won a few more world titles, But even as juniors, it was always them three. And our good old friend Steve Lee was always in there, but they was always miles better than everyone else, and they've stayed that way for
still are. If you look at them now, they're still there, aren't they?
Yeah.
Where are you going there, Joe? Where do you see yourself in 12 months, man?
I think in 12 months, somewhere sort of around about where I am now, I'll be sort of threatening in and around the 16, probably a bit more long term. I'm a bit more concerned because, like Michael said, even though I haven't won many trophies, I've done quite a bit. I've played loads at the Crucible. I've been on the one table setup. I've been at the Masters. I've had a few finals, big matches. So I'm just finding it hard now to practice with the same desire that I always used to have. I still practice, but not with the same intensity that I used to. And I've still got one big dream is to win a trophy on home soil, because I see someone like Mark King. When he won that tournament was amazing. To have all his family there, you can't change that. And when I won mine, all right, you could argue it was a bigger tournament. It was definitely a bigger tournament financially, but I shared that victory with Mike Ganley, and that was it. I didn't have my family there to sort of praise me afterwards or anything. So it'd be nice to have that. That's what sort of keeps me going really at this time. Just to keep sort of searching for that one last big moment in the sun, really.
So really, sort of stick around, just try and get back in the top 16.
Yeah, I'm not. To be honest, I don't really care about the top 16. I'd happily not get back in the top 16 again and win a tournament. If it was one of the home nations events, doesn't have to be a massive one. I'd swap getting back in the top 16 to win a tournament. I've had lots of years in the 16. I've played at the Masters loads of times. As great as it is, it's not something that drives me on. My big aim now is just to have that one more golden week, really.
Right, better get into some questions here, guys, or we'll be here till the morning. How old were you when you started playing, and when did you know you were first going to turn professional? Start with you, Michael.
Well, I've got pictures of me playing when I was standing on a crate, a beer crate, when I was 4, 5. Because my godparent had a full size table at the end of his garden, so I took an interest then. But I think played regular when I was about 12. And that's when I sort of started entering junior events, and I was always pretty set on being a professional snooker player, even from that age. So,
Really?
oh yeah,
I
I
thought you were
really.
going to turn pro at the age of 12.
Well, I wanted to be a professional snooker player. Yeah, that was my dream. So I'm fortunate enough to have lived that dream in that respect, even though it's been not come without its frustrations. But I think when I got to about 16, I felt like I was probably I was gonna get to the level I need to get to be professional,
Right.
and fortunately I did. Or well, arguably anyway.
First 100 break?
When I was 13.
Oh, very good. That's about average, actually. About average.
Brilliant. Average.
Joe?
Well, I think I used to hit. My dad got me a 5-foot snooker table when I was 5. I used to hit balls on it all the time. Apparently, that's so he tells me. I played my first ever game on a full-size table when I was 9 at Neil Folds' dad's club in Ealing, and that's where I first met Alfie Burden. Saturday morning coaching club. I was 9. Alfie would have been about 6, I think. And then I started playing. Then I went from there to Camden when I was about 11, 12, and that's when I started playing a bit more often. Started playing like most days after school. I go down to the snooker club. And a lot of days I didn't go to school. I went to the snooker club. And I always wanted to be I didn't think I'd ever be a snooker player until my family sort of left London. We moved to where we live now. And then it sort of all changed me, really. I started to improve quite quick, winning local events, local junior comps, county championships and stuff. And then I sort of knew I wanted to be a snooker player then, about the same 12, 13 years old.
Did you know you were going to be a professional when?
I knew I was going to be professional because the game had all just gone kaput, hadn't it? And they opened the game up and then you could just pay. If you had enough money, you could be professional. So I knew I was going to be professional. I didn't know if I was going to be any good or not. And it took a couple of years for me to sort of realise that, what it was going to take for me, really. I knew I had to sort of change my ways and get my head down. But I knew I was, I knew I had the potential to be a decent pro, and things started to click into place.
There's a wee question here has come in on Messenger there. What would you say is the strongest part of your games, and when did you best demonstrate it? Michael?
I feel I'm jack of all trades, master of none. I think my long game's pretty good, pretty strong. I don't know really. I'm probably the wrong person. Probably ask Joe. Joe probably knows better than me.
Michael's best asset is his ball run, without a doubt. It's incredible. I've never seen anyone get away with so many bad shots in all my life. It's so important.
There you go.
You've got that in your armoury. Something I've always been lacking.
There you go. That's it. Very lucky boy.
I think, to be honest, we're sort of similar sort of players, really, because you can single out some players. You go, oh, he's a great long putter, or he's a great safety player. I think we're both sort of it's probably also shows in your career what you actually win. If you've got a good all-round game, but not a fantastic all-round game, you'll be consistent without like the massive highs. I'd like to think that I'm pretty decent at. I know my weakest part of my game is my long putting. That's without a doubt.
That's the next question. Yeah,
that's definitely the weakest part of my game. The strongest part of my game would be break building and safety, and my long putting is probably the weakest. But on some days it's all good, obviously. And on some days it's none of it's good enough. It's just the way it is.
I feel when I'm in the right sort of state of mind, I feel like I can compete with most at most things. Do you know what I mean? I do feel like that.
Is there any parts of your games where you would have liked to have improved?
If I had my time over again, 100%, I would take a lot more interest from a young age in my technique and long putting. because to be honest, when I started, like I'm not making out I'm like a senior citizen, but long potting wasn't such a big thing when I was younger. It was like break building and long potting weren't a thing because no one used to really go for them. And you used to play a lot of safety shots and stuff like that. So, yeah, if I had my time over again, knowing what I know now, how the game's changed, I'd definitely take a lot more interest in the long game, without a doubt.
Anything you haven't focused on? Like,
I've struggled with my emotions, but to be fair, I've been on a bit of a journey recently. I think although my temperament has been bad, I do show out quite a lot. I have done more in the past anyway. I think I would have tried to work on my technique, as in like learn about how I play the game so that I can put things right when they're going wrong. The things I've learned recently is that when I've thought I'm missing balls because of my temperament, I've not. It's not actually that. It's been my technique, because I've always played pretty naturally and just played, which has been a bit of a nightmare really, because I've not been able to put things right. So I think I would have had learned more about my technique early on, and which would have helped get more consistent.
I think it's the sort of thing. I mean, like, you have a long career. I suppose you look at your game, don't you? And you think, why am I not getting over the line? What are the things that I'm not quite doing to get myself over the line?
It's only been, for me, it's just inconsistent. You can't play good one day and bad the other and expect to win matches consecutively. You've got to play the top players. They don't play well that often. They just don't play bad. So obviously that will win them matches just by default, just by playing to their average level. Your ranking after a season will be what your average is, and that's what rankings say. What your averages are. You start having one good match and then playing badly. You're not going to get anywhere. You've got to be good all the time, and that's what the top players do. Mm-hmm. So that's where you're ranking. That's where you find your ranking.
And what about coaching through your career? Did you have a coach through your career, or has it helped you?
I worked with Derek Hill a little bit early on, and then I've worked with Terry Griffiths a few years ago. But I sort of really benefited from a guy called Chris Henry, who I worked with for a couple of seasons. Not this season, 2 seasons before, and I feel like he really helped me. If I'd have met him when I wish I'd have met him when I was 21. To be honest.
Right.
He really helped me. I've learned a lot off him.
And what about you, Joe, in terms of coaching over your career? Did you use coaches, and have they helped you? Oh, I've lost your sound. So hang on a second, Joe.
Can't?
That's better. I can hear you now.
All right, yeah. I'm like a self-taught snooker player, and I've been to see lots of people over the years. A long time ago, like people like Del Hill, I had a lot of respect for. Helped me in that part of my career. But the one I had the biggest success with was Terry Griffiths, and to be honest, that's because we made it clear from the word go that there'll be no technical coaching involved. Because I've been with a few technical coaches, like Steve Feeney, people like that, and it's just not worked for me because
can't see you, Joe.
I'm self-taught, natural. You can't teach an old dog new tricks, and that sort of saying applies to me really. Whereas Griffiths was all about the mental side of the game, and it's such a huge part of the game. And it was something I never give any credit to whatsoever. I thought you had to just be good enough on the table, but there's a lot more to snooker than just potting balls. And Terry helped me out no end. And he was the one I was with when I won my tournament and had probably the best part of my career, really. Every few years was probably the best I played. And a lot of that was down to how I was thinking when it wasn't my shot, really.
I think that's very interesting. I think all players should use a coach.
Can't hear you.
Or try to use one, or engage in one. That can do nothing other than help. Have you ever heard of a guy called Charlie Poole?
No.
Well, Charlie Poole was Jimmy White's coach back in the late 70s, early 80s. And he coached quite a few other semi-professional players before they came on the tour. And he's coming on here, actually, in a couple of weeks with Gary Filtness. he's going to talk about those old days. He's going to talk about the coaching. Just had a nice, hey, Joe, we just had a nice shot of your leg there.
I can't hear you.
Could you hear me?
I can't hear you.
Right, well, he's gone. Anyway, you don't know what he's talking about anyway.
But no, I think they're a very, very important part of the game. I think
what Joe said there. I mean, he talks about he benefited from the emotional part of the game. I think for years, because I showed out, questioned my temperament and my bottle, whatever you want to call it. When I was barking up the wrong tree, really. I probably could have been a lot better, like showing out, but I feel like it was my technique more than anything, which I've learned recently, really.
Yeah.
So I was barking up the wrong tree for years, which was causing me a lot of frustration.
That's it. Touch on that, Michael. I mean, I watch players. If I can analyze players a little bit when I watch them, but you do show your temper a bit. You do.
Not anymore.
You're quite expressive, if you want me to put it that way.
Yeah,
I think I'm quite expressive.
You are. You both
not
are.
In the same way of Michael. I don't sort of get annoyed. I've been. Jerry Green describes me as says when I'm under pressure, my eyebrows are dancing all over them. But
yeah. I mean,
I've not got. I know I've not got a poker face, but I think there's a big difference between some players can just show nothing all the time, and that's fantastic. You can do that. Not everyone can do that. We're human beings. We're not all the same. But I think as long as you don't let your emotions affect the result, then there's nothing wrong. Because I keep going back to him, like Maguire and Ali. They're terrible. They smash their cue and bang the table, but it doesn't always. 99% of the time, if anything, it helps them rather than hinders them. Yeah. So I think we can't all be completely stone-faced and show nothing.
It's all
really
about
boring if we're all like that.
It's all about personalities. If you're the type that needs to get it out, like Maguire, then it's best to get it out.
How do you deal with it, boys? How do you deal with it? You have a bit of meditation.
Oh, so I like to. I know if someone's like genuinely played a shot or not, and if I come to the table and they've had a bit of luck, my face will let them know that I know they've had a bit of luck. See, I can't let people get away with thinking they've played a good shot when I know they haven't. I need to let them know. So I let them know.
That's a big part of the game, I'm afraid. See that wee bit of luck. That's a very, very big. That's bigger than you think.
But we all get it. It's just luck. Luck is
timing.
It's what it costs. Luck is what it costs you. You can fluke a red and miss the next black. It doesn't make no difference. If you fluke a red and make 100, then obviously it's massive. It's just one of them things. It's annoying, but you've just got to get on with it.
Right. So, who are your toughest opponents on the tour, and why? If you can think of any.
Well, Joe Perry, obviously.
Got a point. Mine before this season, because I've beaten. I think I've beaten 3 times this season with Stephen Maguire. He beat me like 12 or 14 times on the trot. So he would have been before this season. But I'm not going to say the obvious one, Ronnie, because he's everyone's toughest opponent. He beats everyone.
Well, he's not mine. He's in my pocket.
But he's always beat me. Always. I've got too much respect for him, I think. But trying to think of someone who's a bit like out of the blue, really. I don't know. Marco Fu was always my toughest. I think probably because he's so like deadpan with his expression that it used to really annoy me. I couldn't annoy him, and he was just too cool for me. Marco Fu would have been one of my toughest opponents, definitely.
Who do I lose?
Very cool customer, very cool.
Yeah, very, very fantastic player as well.
Who do I lose to a lot? Well, obviously Joe. I think Joe. Yeah. I mean, we obviously played Ronnie O'Sullivan. He's the best player, but he's not. He's in my pocket.
You can't beat Ersenbacher, either, can you?
He's there, look. Yeah.
You can't beat Ersenbacher.
Ersenbacher, Alexander Ersenbacher. He's beat me the last 2 times. Absolutely done me head in.
Guys, there's something we need to come to an understanding about something here. Is Ronnie probably the greatest player that's ever going to live, right? In terms of a lot of different reasons why he is. But the thing is, that the best of us are going to have bad days. And when we have bad days, that's when the young guys come in, the Cahills, the Erison-Beckers, and they bash Ronnie up 4-1 or 4-2. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Big calls.
Yeah, Ronnie, it will only happen if Ronnie's like, you got to remember, Ronnie's coming up 45 years of age now. But Ronnie will only get beat by these people if he's not bothered. That's not disrespectful to them because they're good players. But if Ronnie, you've seen what Ronnie's like, when he wants to turn it on, when he wants to beat someone, he's a different animal altogether. It's just scary. And if he's got something, I don't know, maybe he needs to respect you to really give you the full Ronnie treatment. I don't know. But at the end, but also he is beatable. He's beatable.
Yes.
He makes mistakes. You get your chance against him, but he's probably the hardest player to take your chances against. You get your chances.
Got the best Q action.
Not for me.
Here we go. Couple of lucky wins.
Was that the answer to my question there, Michael?
No, he's all right. He's good.
But has he got the best Q action out there?
Oh, he's got the best Q action.
Right.
No, I wouldn't say.
He's probably the best ball striker.
He's the best ball striker. I won't say
he's got the most consistent strike. He hits the ball as clean as anyone every single time he hits the ball.
Yeah, he's ball striking. The way he goes through the white is flawless.
You go a long way to beat Neil and Murphy for me. Neil and Murphy.
I've been watching Ronnie and Murphy, and I think look, everybody has a different view on this about hitting the white ball dead center. No, I don't think anybody ever does. We all get close.
It's not important.
Nobody's going to hit a dead center of that white ball. But if you look at the guys with the Q actions, with the best Q actions, Ronnie and Sean, yeah, Sean's got a great Q action, but maybe Ronnie is very close to getting as close as you can possibly get to hitting the center of that white ball.
No, he never hits the centre. He's very, very
rare. He tries to hit centre. I don't think he's that bothered about it, to be honest. I don't think he's that. But if you're looking at a centre ball striker or someone who you wanted to hit middle of the white, I'd go for Ding. Ding would be my choice.
All day.
He'd hit the middle of the white all day long.
Ding?
To hit the middle of the cue ball, Ding would be my choice.
Yeah. Really? Yeah. Without a doubt, yeah.
Very, very interesting, that is.
Yeah.
Everybody's going
to the best Q action is the one. You see, with Q actions, you can the best Q actions are the ones that repeat. So they're not necessarily the prettiest, but if you hit the ball average every time, right, you've hit the jackpot. It's just if it's the same every time, the best Q actions repeat. So you can start hitting the ball amazing one shot, and it looks amazing with a pretty Q action. But like Judd Trump at the minute, he goes across the white, but he's consistent, and he's under pressure. He's brilliant. So you could argue that he's got the best Q action at the minute because he repeats and he pots more balls.
It's the one that's winning.
Incredible what he does. I mean, this kid smacks the top of the white ball. It goes all over the place. And
you have to be super confident, and you have to practice a hell of a lot. Like Judd, I think Judd is going to go on. I've said this. I got slighted a little bit for what I said about Judd taking the game to another level. Maybe he's got the chance to do that, but he couldn't do what Ronnie done. He couldn't not play for a year and come back and win the world title.
That was amazing.
Because of Q action, he has to put the hours in, and he's phenomenal. He could go on to break all the records. He's fantastic. You won't get a bigger compliment like from me. I think he's one of the best ever.
Ronnie says he doesn't practice a lot, but he's got tables all over the place.
Another lie.
Apparently he's got about 12 tables all over Essex.
He practices. Don't worry about that.
Pop in here.
Yeah,
you have to practice. You can't get that good without practicing all the time.
I don't know what that is. I don't know why a lot of snooker players. I don't know what that is about snooker. For some reason, a lot of snooker players try and make out they don't practice. I think it's ridiculous. If they don't practice, if they say they don't practice, then they look idiots. They should practice then, shouldn't they? And look how good they'd be then. But they all practice. Don't worry about that.
Mike Dunn, though. Apart from Mike Dunn.
Apart from Mike Dunn, no, he's always
in hospital, and he's always ill.
Yeah, he's always in hospital. Yeah.
Very good. Right, let's touch on a couple of questions here, lads, because I should have started the questions about 20 minutes ago. First of all, what about how do you like to practice? Do you prefer solo or do you prefer playing with guests?
No, I when I was having my best sort of time, I think when I was playing my best snooker, I was sort of playing someone 4 days a week, like proper competitive matches. I never play for money. Just I don't need to play for money to want to win.
Yeah.
You know, proper competitive practice with really good players.
Good.
But now I'm sort of I'm down to like maybe once or twice a week. Twice if I'm lucky, I might play someone, and the rest of the time I play on my own. And it's not really for me. I get bored and start trying new things, and you end up getting yourself in all sorts of pickles when you start trying new things through boredom. So no, ideally for me, it'd be 4 sort of practice days with people, and then maybe a day on my own would be ideal for me.
I enjoy playing still. To be honest, I like playing on my own and with other players. Yeah, I don't know. I'd say edge it. Playing other players would edge it, but I just like playing the game. So yeah.
Let's have a look at some questions here. Get through. Oh, Tony Blythe is asking give us your underachievers in the game. Is any names come to mind who have underachieved?
Well, it's hard to say because the names I'm going to give have done
achieved.
better than me and have done much better than me. So it's not, it doesn't really mean doesn't mean they've underachieved. I just think for me, the biggest one for me is Stephen Maguire. I think he could have won more Triple Crown events. I really do. And in another lifetime, had things panned out differently, Mathew Stevens probably would have won a few more tournaments when he was at his best. But I don't know. It's hard to say underachieve because it's so hard to win. I don't know. Maguire would be my first pick.
Yeah, I think Maguire's up there, and I think, like I say, just reiterating what Joe said, it's not that we don't think he's done well; it's that because we rate him so highly, really. As players, you sort of watch players play, and you just know what they've got inside them, the level they can play at a canter, really. And they've done it on the big stage because Stephen has, he's played brilliant on the big stage against the big players, which not a lot of players can really say that. They might have nicked results, but he's played proper stuff. But obviously he's not done it enough to keep winning the events. No, I think he's probably one of them. I think a lot of players would probably agree with that, and Mathew as well. I think Mathew's a proper snooker player, a brilliant player. He was like, they were both juniors when I was junior, so I've sort of grown up with them, and they were always very, very good. Mathew has got a great record. I mean, really, Mathew's one win away from being one of the greats. He's won the UK, he's won the Masters, he's lost in 2 World Finals, he's lost in probably 3 semi-finals of the World Championship, and he's probably had, of his 20-year career, he's probably had 12 of them off.
And he's bounced back a bit now.
You know what I mean?
He's bouncing back a wee bit. He's starting to perform.
It's very hard where Mathew is to really bounce back now. When you drop down there, the way World Snooker structure the draws now is so difficult. He's coming up against a real hungry top 8 player, probably either in the second round or definitely the third round. So it's so difficult. Of course he can beat anyone, but it's difficult when you've got to keep beating them week in, week out. They're so good now.
You never know. I mean, if Mathew did start playing to the level he's capable of, then all of a sudden he would be fighting, he would be competing again, because he's from that generation of players, that still are there and thereabouts, sort of top of the game, really. So I mean, I never say never, really. Hopefully, for him, because we've known him for a long time, he's quite friendly with him. So I feel like, there's always hope for him because he's so talented. So if he can get his head down and sort of get focused and get a bit of forward momentum in his career, which obviously he's sort of lost because he's dropped down the rankings. You never know. He's that good. He could nick a result. He could nick a win just like that. Mm-hmm. Just if the stars align for him. No problem. He got to the semi-final of the China event. We were at his queue the other year,
I'll tell you what, if Stevie Maguire's watching this, he's not big on Facebook, but he'll get hold of this eventually. Stevie, you're getting some praise. I don't know why, because you're not very exciting. But obviously, Joe and Michael think you are, you know. And by the way,
I think a lot of snooker players would put Stevie up there. You know,
he's great. He's great. I enjoy watching him.
You always get the names spring to mind and understandably is like Murphy, Judd, Ding, Neil. They all jump out at you, them names, because they win lots of tournaments. But Stephen's as good as all them.
Yeah.
He just hasn't, and that's why I put him down as underachieving. Even though I'd swap careers tomorrow, I'd be delighted. But I just think he could have won so much more.
Everybody has that story about.
He's had a better time though. So he's had a better time.
You know,
he's had more fun than Murphy.
Yeah, he's had more fun than all of them. I can assure you.
Same feedback about Mathew. You know, a lot of players of his generation on the tour say the same thing about him because they know how close he could have got, how further he could have gone.
He's done it, hasn't he? You know, people talk about different eras. I think the era is the strongest it's ever been. But they talk about that era in the sort of the early 2000s when John and Ronnie and Mark were all at their best, and Mathew was getting to finals then. You know, and people say that was the strongest the game's ever been in terms of the very top of the game. And Mathew was getting to finals and winning, you know, the Triple Crown event. Yeah. So we'll know how good it is.
That's good enough. Let's get some questions in here. We've got a question from one of the regulars here. How will the coronavirus break affect your performance? It might help.
Yeah, we might help. Yeah.
It will definitely help my enthusiasm to practice because I'm sort of itching to play now, but I haven't because I've got nothing to practice for. But it will definitely, I think everyone will be just chomping at the bit to get their queue out again. So as long as we get enough notice before the first tournaments, we've got like a good 3-4 weeks to practice. I don't think you'll see any change. I think the standard will just be back up to where it was.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it'll be good. I think the first weekend of a tournament for the players that get knocked out will be an absolute cracker.
Yeah.
We will all be out.
Look, guys.
It will be an absolute belter. That first Friday night, we're all knocked out of the cop.
Yeah. How you doing? All right.
Look,
if World Snooker go to the pub.
If World Snooker decide to play the event behind closed doors, look, it's not what everybody wants, but if it has to be, it has to be. And you know, in terms of social distancing, you know, is it going? I mean, it's a bit of a difficult one, and it's up to the government really ultimately. But do you have a problem with that if it was played behind doors?
I'll do what I'm told to do. Ideally, if the money thing wasn't an issue for like the vast majority of snooker players, I'd say just scrap it. We'll go again next year, go again next season, because we played behind closed doors in Gibraltar, and it was one of the worst experiences of my life. And to do that, to do that in the World Championship is going to be pretty awful. But you know, at the end of the day, there's £500,000 to the winner. There's millions of people want to watch it on the telly, and I suppose it's just one of the things. You look back in when we're older, tell our grandchildren that we played the World Championship with no one watching and no one to believe us.
Well, I'm used to playing with no one watching anyway, so I'll be feeling at home.
That doesn't surprise me, Michael. You're not very exciting to watch.
No,
you know, so
too busy looking what shot to play next.
Anyway, look, Matty Malls he wants you to give a shout out to the Q Sports Academy.
Who does?
Matty Mal.
Oh, Matty Mal, yeah, he's nice.
You know Matty?
He's been to my house and had a game, yeah. He's
not a bad kid. He can play.
He's a keen snooker player, yeah. He's one of the better players. He plays for Norfolk, one of the better sort of amateurs. Yeah, it's good little.
He's getting better.
Yeah. Sorry?
He's getting better. He's improving.
He's improving all the time, yeah, which is good.
A
lot of that's down to the academy. They've got a good little setup there, and I'll be getting over there for some practice once it's all reopened again.
Colin Phillips is saying hello. Jason Pagram saying hello.
Jason,
Nobby, one of the game's legends. without actually doing anything. He is a legend in snooker. He's one of the most. He is one of the nicest people. He's got a lovely club. I went and practiced with Ronnie at the club. It's a fantastic club.
I've played there.
But he is, for someone that never, I don't think he ever got on TV or anything. But he was a good, good player. But obviously didn't go all the way in snooker. But he's one of the most well-known snooker people, I think, on the tour. Considering he never got on TV. But if you ever meet him, you'll know why. He's so infectious.
Well, Jason's a very good friend of mine. I use his club for one of my pro-ams every month. I mean,
absolute legend he is.
In terms of getting on TV, he would destroy the audience in just a few seconds.
He's different class. No, he's got a lovely club.
I've seen him dance.
I've seen him dance at Pontins, I think, yeah.
Oh, Jason's a very good friend of mine. And I'm surprised he hasn't come out with a question. Do you think that this is fair? Oh, here's a combination question here for you. It's actually a double hit here. Best of 7 format. Blah, 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 blah. Right, okay. Best of 7s or best of 9s?
Best of 9s.
Best of 9s, yeah. Best of 9s.
Yeah, all day long.
I think, look, the format is what it is. Most of the professionals have sort of said 7s is okay, but we prefer 9s. No brainer, really, is it, lads?
Well,
it's more competitive.
I think it's mainly because of the interval. The amount of times an interval changes a game of snooker is incredible.
Yeah.
And we've got used to playing 7s now. I think most of the tournaments we play now, and majority of the tournaments we play now are best of 7. We've got used to it. It's it's one of them things now. But you'd always rather play more frames.
Does it give you enough time to get flowing?
Well, no, but like I say, we're getting used to it now. We all sort of play them all the time now, but it's the interval, really. The interval is the big turning factor in a best of 9.
Yeah,
makes a big difference. Can make a difference.
Right. Let's talk about tables, cues, and tips for a second. What are your views on the tables? Should we stick with the star, go over to Riley, or go to Rossin, or get an Indian one? What do you think?
I've got no complaints with the tables at all, really. I think this year they've been as good as they've ever been. It's probably the best year we've had in terms of consistency. We played in the Championship League in Leicester, in probably one of the worst venues we've ever played at, with Rassons, and they played absolutely perfectly. So Rasson Star, as long as you've got good people setting them up, good table fitters, good cloths, good balls, I don't think you can really complain. This year they've been really, really consistent. The chalk, I know not everyone uses the chalk. It's a bit of a topic, but seems to have made a hell of a difference to the consistency in the tables. Definitely. No kick, hardly any kicks now, hardly any bounces. The chalk must have a big deal to play in that.
I take it you're both using the Tom chalk, are you?
I am, yeah.
I do, but it's not. I'm not here to promote it, but it just seems such a coincidence that most of the tour, at least half the tour, use it, and all of a sudden we don't get hardly any big bounces anymore.
And if you do play someone that isn't using it, as someone that does use it, you all of a sudden you start getting kicks and bounces.
Yeah.
I mean, I have down the years, for all my sort of faults and weaknesses, I've never got involved with cues, tips, this and that. I've just got on with it. But I must admit, this tone stuff does seem to work.
I think it's a bit soft.
There's 3 different versions.
3 different versions.
You take your pick which one you want to use, the softer one or the harder one. But whatever you think about how it plays on your tip, there's no getting away from the fact that it reduces kicks and bounces.
Yeah.
It looks like Ronnie got a bit fed up with it. It looks like he's went back to triangle. Green.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
A lot of the what you call the top players, they use triangle, but they're on a win-win situation really, because they're getting the benefit of everyone else using the tail. If everyone was using triangle, we're back to where we were. I don't believe the table fitters or the table manufacturers have done anything different to remedy the problems, but they're all sort of remedied as this chalk's come along. So
if I start using the old stuff, I'll start getting bounces and kicks on my table. So it does work. So yeah,
and like I say, I'm happy with Star. I don't want to change the manufacturers, because it means, when I had a Riley before, and I had to sell that and buy a Star. So if we go to something else, I'll have to sell me Star and buy something else. So I don't really see the point. They all play pretty similar anyway.
I keep upgrading the star tables all the time. You've got like Mark 1, Mark 1, a Mark 2, a Mark 3. It's very hard to keep up with it. I can't see
Yeah,
anybody competing.
but the differences are so minor. But I've got one of the original stars at the club, and I've got a newer one at my house, and you can't really tell the difference. I'm sure the table fitters that set them up can tell the difference, but I can't playing on them.
Yeah.
Let's touch on
I don't
cues.
know how old mine is. I
What
don't
about
lose
cues
any
and tips,
table.
lads? What cues do you play with?
I've only
Paris.
read 2 cues in my whole lifetime. I had a very old Tom Newman Ash cue, which I used up until about 2003, maybe 4. And John Paris told me that it was no good. It had seen better days and to get a new cue. And he made me a cue, and that's the one I've got now. So, yeah, John Paris for me. I've tried out some other cues. I've got a couple of lovely Maximus cues under my table that, if ever I did want to change, I might look at one of them. But Paris is the man for me. He's on my doorstep pretty much, and he's just does what he says. Really, just makes you a great cue, and he'll look after it for you.
Same really. I had a cue, a Glover cue I turned pro with when I was 16. I got it for my 16th birthday, and then I think he made me a replica, and I've used that for the last 8 years. And it's lovely cue, a lovely cue. Yeah.
Tips?
Outmaster.
I've tried a few different tips. That's one thing I've tried. I've never put a tip on, which is quite embarrassing. I started off with the Elkmasters. I tinkered with the Titans because I like a hard tip. Then they got too hard. Then I've gone to the Century tips.
They're good.
I've currently got one on now.
Good tips.
I'm just debating whether to try one of the different ones, a slightly harder one. But to be honest, it all lies in the hands of whoever's putting a tip on for me. If they've got a Century tip, I'll have that. If they've got an Elk, I'll have that.
I think Mark Williams won the World Championship there a couple of years ago there with a G3, didn't he? Century G3.
Possibly, but it's not the tip, is it?
It's the way he moves around. He floats around the table like a ghost. He just pots all the balls, doesn't he?
It's good to have the confidence.
He's incredible.
You've got a nice tip on your cue, but I'm sure if that G3 had come off and they'd put an Elk on, he would still won the world title.
It's unfortunately tips don't make you a better player.
No.
Unfortunately. I've got 5 minutes. I've got to go in 5 minutes.
Oh, you got to go in 5 minutes? I know. It's your turn to babysit tonight.
Rex, this is very true.
We'll try and wrap this up as quick as we can, okay? I didn't realize we were going on there. Sometimes we do. Jason's asking, are you happy with the comps? With a lot of lads neglecting them as well as the fans. Get 10 big events again before the peak in the 80s and 90s. Jesus, I don't get that one. I don't. Come back to that one in a wee second. I'll need my glasses for that one. Yes, we play the right hand side. Let's see, what's this one? Play with the right hand side. Okay. Jason's on a roll here. Right. Who's got the worst cue action technique on a tour?
Gerard Green.
No, I think
no, there's a couple.
Mike Dunn's bad. Mike Dunn.
Oh, Mike Dunn. He's like a pool player, isn't he?
Yeah. I don't know really.
No.
There's a lot of bad ones.
Right, I'm just looking through the questions here. I'm looking for some good ones. Okay. Joe and Jill. Right, what about this then? Now, look, we've got 128 professionals on a tour. Okay. Now, most of the pros I've been speaking to are quite happy about that number. All right, as much as quite a lot of those lads, about a third of those lads are not really making a living. They're not making enough money. Now, you can change it all you like, but do you not think the top 32 players should be seeded so these lads have a chance of winning some money?
This is a funny question for me because we might have been in the same conversation. We had this conversation amongst ourselves many years ago when they decided to make it flat draws. And I said, all these people wanting flat draws, the lower ranked players, so no, it's better for us. We all come in at round one. I said there and then, it's the only people this is going to benefit is people like me, who are good players. All of a sudden, I'm going to be playing low-ranked players in rounds 1 and 2. It's going to just prolong my career by many, many years, and it's turned out to be right. And a lot of these kids are struggling, and some of them are probably never ever going to make the breakthrough because of the system. You know, you look at some of the great players we've got on the tour: Neil Robertson and Ding Junhui. Kyron Wilson, they dropped off the tour the first time they got on it. You know, so it's not a given that you're going to do it just because you're good enough. The tour is brutal. You can play 8 top 16 players in the first year. I don't care how good you are, you ain't going nowhere. They should have gone back to the tiered system years ago.
Yeah,
the bottom 64 play each other, seed through to the top 32, and everyone's going to be happier.
Yeah, I think that's the same. Really, I think that I said at the time I was part of that sort of. We was trying to help them out in a way.
Yeah.
I think a few of the lower ranked players, like lower, right down the bottom, they thought that they were a little bit. What's the word to look at? They genuinely believed they were down there because the system was holding them back. Which so obviously they all pushed for this round 1, and they genuinely believe if I'm in round 1 with all the players, I'll start winning more matches, which is not the case. You know, the rankings, you could have any system you like, the rankings will probably be around the same. You know, I think some of them thought that it would help them, when in fact it's actually not helped them. I mean, it's made it harder for them, because I mean, it's all right. You see at the start of the season. You know, they're drawing like Selby's and your Ronnie O'Sullivan's. They're all chipper. They're all like, oh yeah, great. You know, let's playing Ronnie O'Sullivan. That's brilliant. Then when it gets to sort of November time, and they've drawn him again, and they've won 2 matches, you know, it's hard to build any momentum. You know, if there was playing players down the list, they can sort of build some momentum. And when they're playing the top players, they've won 2 or 3 matches, and you feel a lot better. But if you're fighting on no money against them top players over and over again, it's like Joe says, it's brutal. Like brutal.
Yeah. Well, I understand. When I first started getting to venues, I drew Hendry the first time, and I was absolutely chuffed to bits that I was going to get to play Stephen Hendry.
Yeah.
I lost 5-1. I absolutely got demoralised, and I thought I don't ever want to play him ever again.
Yeah.
And I say the same thing now. The players say it to me. They come and play me, and they go, "I've got Ronnie in the Welsh. I really can't wait. It'll be on table 1." And I think to myself. And I say to him, to be honest, I don't ever want to play Ronnie O'Sullivan ever again.
No good.
I don't care. I've played him. I don't want to play him ever again. But they don't realise. And when you play him time after time, but the difference was with me, when I played Hendry for the first time, I'd won 4 matches. I had some money in the bank. I had some confidence and some points. You know, I was playing him in the last 32 after I'd won a few matches. These people are playing like round 1 against Trump and Neil. No money, just expense after expense. It's just not good for them.
On saying
and
that,
some are great players, and they're probably now. What Michael said about they're blaming the system for not getting through. Some of them probably can do that now.
Yeah,
it is probably holding a lot of them back.
I will say though, on saying that, there's no Ronnie O'Sullivan sitting at home where the system stopped them getting through.
No,
you know, if you're good enough, you will get through whatever system.
But a prime example this year is James Cahill, right?
Yeah.
We all saw how good he was, and we as players know how good he is.
Yeah.
You know what he done at the World Championship for a debut, playing Ronnie, standing up to Ronnie and winning, almost beating like his next round opponent. What a fantastic player! But he's done awful this year, absolutely awful. But
he's had some stinking
ranking and go, wow, he's done terrible. But then if you look who he's played, he's been pretty much like a 3-to-1 shot every time he's got his cue out of his case. And it's hard to win. It's hard to win when you're going in against that level of opponent.
I think he's been particularly unlucky, to be fair to him.
Yeah, he was very unlucky.
Particularly
unlucky. It just goes to show it can happen. You know, in this time next year, we might be saying, I can't believe Cahill's off the tour. But he could have played like 15 top 16 players.
Yeah. That's right.
Just want to touch on one last thing before we wrap it up, boys. Yeah, I think like what you said's fair enough. I do think that they need to take a little look down the lower rankings a little bit and see what they can do for the guys. You know,
I don't think there's much they can do. If everybody's coming in round 1, there's nothing they can do. They can only give them more opportunities.
Well, I'll be honest. Look, I'm on the Players Commission. We've talked about it.
Yep.
We've got a proposal. Whether it goes through at board level or not, I don't know.
Good. Well, that's something.
We propose that all major events that carry a top prize of 100,000 or more are played on a tiered system, like we're going to play the World Championship, and keep the home nations and that as a flat draw. Keep it different. But any like major event, like over 100 grand prize, top prize, then it's played on a tiered system. And we think it's a no-brainer, but it's whether it goes ahead at board level.
By the way, Jason Pagram saying you are both welcome round to his gaff anytime.
Good old Nobby.
And he's going to finish us off. He's asking. So what he's asking is he's asking, would you both like 8 to 10 big money events with big sponsors and big TV coverage, or are you happy as you are?
Well, we've got 20 odd, so it's better now. I mean, we've already got like loads of.
You'd rather have the 20 rather than the 8 big money.
When I first got in the top 16, the game was very different. I think you was guaranteed like £100,000 for being in the top 16, win or lose a game. So I was lucky enough to get that, and we had about 8 or 9 big events. And comparing the two, I'd take it as it is now, because it was you keep building yourself up to a big event. If it goes wrong, you then got another 4 to 5, 6 weeks for another big event. This way, you get dusted 4-0 somewhere. You're back on the practice table. You're back at it again the week after, and you can't turn your nose up at 70 grand the winner, which is like probably the lowest tournament we play now. So I think it's snooker's never been so good.
No, it is the best. When they talk about the golden era, 80s, this is the golden era.
Yeah,
I mean, you've got more events. All you can ask for as a snooker player is opportunities. You can't ask for guarantees. You can just give me opportunities, and if you're good enough, you will earn a living. And that's
if you are winning a few matches, it's a great life. I know some players don't like the travelling, but me and Michael, we get on really well. We sort of travel together. We sort of stay together at the tournaments, and I come home like my missus thinks I've been on holiday every week because it is. But you've got to make the most of it. It's good fun.
It's great to see your dad with you there too, Joe. See your dad in the audience. He's great support for you. Apple of his eye, mate, because both of you look exactly alike. You'd spot your dad a mile away. It's great to have that support. No, Jason asked that question because he feels that there's a lot of players who are neglecting some of the tournaments. So why not just have 8 big ones? So that's probably the reason why Jason's asking that.
Well, it might come across that way. I think I get where he's coming from, because sometimes you see players they don't give it. Looks like they're not giving it their all, but no one turns up to get beat on purpose.
Yeah, and all that is open the door for someone else.
The cream of the crop probably do channel their energies more into the UK, the Masters, the World, the big China. I'm sure they do. They're good enough to pick and choose and try maybe that little bit harder. But for the other 110 players on the tour, they're trying to win that tournament every single week.
Yeah, of course they are. It's big. It's life changing. Yeah. So, right, I got to go now, mate.
Hey, lads, that's it. We're going to wrap it up. Look, Michael, thanks very much. Joe,
thank you.
Lads, you've given the guys a nice bit of an insight into yourselves and answered some great questions. And thanks very much, guys.
Cheers,
all right.
Thank you. See you later, John.
You have a good time. And keep it up, lads. Have a bit of confidence. We'll see you soon.
Yep.
Take it easy. There you go, guys. Nice insight into 2 very good lads who are playing in the top 32, and it'll be good. It's great to see them. I hope you got something out of that. Tried to cut a little bit short there. I think Michael's got his little girl running around there, and so we've done very well today. Actually, we've managed to get this down to 75 minutes, which is quite an achievement. I'm sorry I didn't get all your questions on there, guys. I just tried to get as much information out of Joe and Michael as I could, So look, next week we've got Joe Swale and Jordan Brown, and on this Wednesday evening, we've got the amateur snooker debate. So I'd like you all to join me for that. We will have several top amateur snooker players who will come on the live stream and express their views about everything. And that includes Q School, that includes the format of the Challenge Tour, and everything and anything else that you want to get involved with or find out about. You can send some questions. You can send in your views. So it's not so much a Q&A, it's more of sending in your views. And hopefully we'll be able to throw something out there that will maybe give the World Snooker Tour some ideas, maybe, in terms of what we can do with the amateur game. The amateur game needs something. I think we can all agree that it needs something. And hopefully after Wednesday, when we have quite a few top players on talking about the things that they'd like to see happen, then maybe that will make a difference. So be safe, everybody, and I will see you soon. Remember, you can get this, you can watch this on YouTube. For some of your friends who are not on Facebook, this will be uploaded on YouTube tomorrow, so you can take a look at it, if you're interested in listening to Michael and Joe. And thanks very much for joining us, and we shall catch up again very soon. Be safe.